Bonjour, it's Claire. Welcome and thanks for listening to the Integrally Alive podcast, where we explore resilience and how to spark a life and go from alive-ish to alive. So today I'm with Ortal Pelleg. Hi, Ortal. Thanks for being with us today.
Thank you. Thank you, Claire.
And Ortal has been passionate with surfing and music since he was a kid. He plays handpan and didgeridoo, solo and with his band Onogana, and he also creates these music instruments. And right now, October 2018, he's releasing his latest baby, the Bajin. It's a beautiful combination between a bamboo shell and aluminum tubes suspending in the air by strings. And we will have a little preview on what this amazing sounds like. Music for him is about dancing, moving, enjoying the moments. But there is another face to this music, though, taking the listeners on a journey to relax into. In his own words, when playing solo, I am like everyone else in the room. I can go into myself and really connect to that deep space, deep peace that is in each and every one of us. It's very meditative for me and for the listeners. And I can say it's true because I experienced that. it's really working. And he's also an adept of Wim Hof's technique. It's a technique that combines breathing technique and exposure to cold and movements. And he uses this breath work in combination with his music. And I guess we will talk about that in this interview. So today we will talk about music, sound therapy, balancing the nervous system, and we'll experience a bit of the Bajin magic. So let's dive in.
I'll get it right. Just when you're ready.
So I'm curious to see how was your relationship to music? Did you always found these two faces of music, dance in celebration and in a journey?
Good question. First, I'll just say that the instrument name is Bajin.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I seem to never get it right. I'm trying though.
It's good. And because we're talking about it, then the meaning of the name is virgin. Okay, it's virgin. It's from Japanese kanataka, which means it was taken from the word virgin in English, then moved to Japan for recalibration and became Bajin, and they actually say it Bajin, and we call the instrument Bajin, inspired from them. And my name you can pronounce Ortal.
Okay, I got everything wrong. Let's do it again. So Ortal and Bajin.
Yes, that's perfect. You see, it was very simple. Now we can just if somebody meets me on the street and says, I saw you on Claire's podcast, Ortal, or something like that. All good.
Okay, well, thanks for the clarification.
Great. I just noticed I need to connect my computer. So yeah, you can ask me a question.
So yeah, how did you find these two faces of music? On one hand, dance and celebration, and on the other hand, inner journey. Was it always present, or how did it evolve?
Anyway, is a lot of an inner journey. It's not something that I discovered, or I think that it's very unique to my music or to music that I play on specific instruments. More about the way that we as human beings are connected to sound.
Sound?
Yeah, connected to sound, because there is a field called semantics, which you can definitely check out, and I would definitely recommend the listeners to check it out. Semantics. You can see symmetrical shapes created by sound on water or in sand or in sports. So we are deeply affected on a very physical level by sound. So this layer has always been there, and that's why I think all of us are in some way are affected by music and by sound. So for me, it was always there. Not that I could always recognize it, recognize it now, but it was always there.
Okay.
Music,
yeah. Okay, so that was always there, but then it was not always conscious. So when did you actually consciously begin to expand this side of your music?
Well, I'm playing and making, mostly playing didgeridoo from the age of 15 approximately.
Oh, wow, yeah.
So I started connecting more to that side of music through the breath when I was 15. I started learning piano when I was probably around 6 or something like that, and I learned for like a few years, but then like 3 years keyboard and piano. But then after like around 3 years, I started surfing or going more to the beach. And after being addicted to the water, I didn't really play piano anymore. And at 15, I started the didgeridoo and also some guitar. And the didgeridoo really connects me to the breathing and to that deeper layer of music where you really have to focus. And I felt that immediately. It wasn't like something I had to kind of like discover over many years. I always rediscover it, but it was very clear and very, it was just there. You could definitely feel it. Now I have a few aspects to look at it and to teach it to others. But yeah.
So like something you recognized, like you played this and you were like, yeah, that's it.
Yeah, I mean, learning music through your breathing really connects you to music, to beats, to the rhythm. So it's very natural. You just recognize that something magical is happening. And later on, I guess in my early 20s, after the military service, I expanded more into the didgeridoo and started making more didgeridoos and learning about more instruments from this world, shamanic world, indigenous world. And then I started playing the pantam, the handpan. And slowly it became more and more very clear to me that I'm in a specific kind of niche that of ethnic instruments, new instruments, and the ethnic and the new instruments all have harmonic, overtonic kind of characteristics.
And how do that plays a role in this state? Because these instruments, I mean, I might be very sensitive to them, I don't know, but I don't think I'm the only one. As soon as you hear them, it's like you drop into another state. It's really relaxing, it's meditative, and it just happens. It's not something that you have to, I don't know, focus on the music and do something. It's just you hear that and blah, you're in this space. So, for example, is this overtone characteristic part of it, you think?
Yeah, I mean, it's, I guess that it's kind of simple, that different sounds affect different parts of the brain. Okay, now, I'm not a, brain expert, but I definitely feel that is the case. And I did speak to several people that, and there has been different studies that shown that music and different kind of music works differently on your brain. So, for example, if you go to a rock show or if you go to a meditative concert, you will experience physically the sound different. Okay, it will be a different effect physically on your cells. And we are mostly water, or I would say, fluids. So we are very sensitive to sound. So we are affected in specific ways in different parts of the brain. and that's why you felt what you felt. That's why people feel music or different sounds and immediately react to it. And some people have they are very repelled by specific sounds, and other sounds will be very attracting to them. So you definitely know that something is going on, because it's not like I like sound or I don't like sound. It's like some sounds make my body feel good and perhaps healing me, and some sounds are not. Some sounds are in sync with me and my vibration, and some are not.
And what is the so you've been playing these kind of meditative sessions for groups for years now. So what is the effect you see on people when you play this kind of music? Because when you did this session here in Lisbon, I saw the atmosphere of the room before and after, and we were all different. I mean, the general atmosphere was very different, and we could recognize it on one another.
Yes, and and I have to tell you, this really warms my heart, and it tells me that I'm on the right path, because for many years I've been, well, many years, for a decent amount of my life,
yes,
I've been asking why people are sick, why they do not feel well, what's happening in our body and mind. And I found that stress is a very big thing.
Yes,
very big thing. And the biggest thing I feel after and during these meditative concerts, and even not in meditative concerts, but just by playing the Bajinn to people or playing some handpan to people, the Bajinn more, I feel that more, because it has a very sharp and fast sound generation. So you can really create the sound very fast. It stays for a long time, and you can really feel that it's really like kind of focused. So I feel relief. I feel that people they get relief. They feel like if they came into the room, or they were in a state of mind that was kind of some distress, some unfocused, some even physical pain, like like that girl, I don't know if you remember, that came with a migraine.
Yes.
And after the session, she was like completely free of the migraine, and she said that does not happen frequently to her, that she gets such a relief in that kind of a short time. So you see that it affects people, and it actually heals them in fast or not as fast ways. I mean, it depends on how consistent you are with bringing it to your life. So if you do that every day, you might not even get the migraine. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So it's kind of I forgot how to say that, but it's it's a percussion. Anyway, you just do it before.
Prevention.
Something. Yeah, prevention, exactly. You're preventing something from developing, and by actually treating yourself with something that physically changes your state of mind, and you become less stressed, more healthy, more connected to your body, and that actually develops compassion towards other people, because chemically something is happening, and you have a bit more balance in the way that your brain is functioning, so you will be less impulsive in your reaction. You will be a bit more compassionate, you will be more open, you will have less self-judgment, because you feel really safe. And of course, judgment of other people. So it's kind of it's a winner.
Well, one way I see it effective is, I guess it makes people aware of how much stressed they are. Because most of the time, I mean, we are constantly bombarded with stimuli. If you live in a city like Lisbon, there is a lot of noises, cars, ambulances, planes. We have social medias, news. I mean, we are really bombarded with stimuli all the time. And it's not so easy to stay present and not to go into this reactive mode and get more and more activated. And so most of the time, people don't even realize how much their sympathetic nervous system is activated. If you don't know what sympathetic is, nervous system.
Yeah, sure.
I mean, for the listeners, I guess you know.
Yeah,
but just for the listeners, we have the nervous system has basically two components: sympathetic, we call it fight and flight in reactive mode, and parasympathetic, it's rest and digest and relax, to keep it simple. So most of the time, we are in this sympathetic nervous system, and we don't even realize it. But when you listen to this music, when you have this kind of experience, then you drop into the parasympathetic nervous system, and then you realize, oh, I was stressed after all, because now I feel that I'm not. So, you know, by comparison, you can see the difference.
Exactly. And you know, that's a subject that I've been very, very, very curious about, and I've been asking a lot of questions about this. Because of course we have the fight or flight, that is the sympathetic nervous system, but there is another F in the FF.
Oh, the freeze, yes.
The freeze.
Yes,
and
it's a big one.
Yeah, and it's a big one, and I totally believe that it's more common in our more Western civilization because of the social aspects. So people are freezing because they feel socially embarrassed, and they feel awkward. They don't feel in ease with themselves in the society they live in, and they are kind of under threat, and they always need to find a way to kind of disappear, you know, like something happens at work, you don't want to be blamed, right? You don't want to be the one to get the pointed finger, right? So I think many people experience the freeze response as well, and that's an interesting one, because the Wim Hof method, for example, is something that now I'm checking how it affects these natural responses, caveman reactions, and I find that a cold exposure is going so deep into your body that it's getting stuff from your subconscious, stuff that have been very trapped in your system, and gets them out very physically. Because if you cannot cope with the cold, usually, and I'm saying usually because I'm not like 20 years in the Wim Hof method, I'm a few years in it, and I find with myself that if I have a problem with the cold, and I was a bit sensitive to the cold at times, and I found that if I'm sensitive to the cold, something is there. If my body can't relax into the cold, into the ice water, something is there. And I found myself experiencing like a lot of release, and physically, and I was like making sounds, and I felt like something is going very deep inside, and it needs to go out, because we are not like the animals where they can have the shake, trembling effect after they have a trauma, kind of like a system. So that's interesting for me. And the breathing, of course, it gets your adrenaline levels very high, and you kind of learn how to divide or to separate real stress, something that you need to respond immediately. There's a fire, someone is going to run over someone on the road, you need to run from someone who's running after you, a lion, whatever, to, okay, you have a bit of a problem with your bank, or you lost your job, or something with your wife or with your kids, and that effect becoming more and more clear, that you can have something that is a real threat and just something that you just need to deal with.
Yeah, so the freeze reaction Ortal is talking about is kind of having a foot on the brake and a foot on the acceleration pedal at the same time. And that's what's driving us crazy. It's having a stress and not being able or not allowing us to releasing it. Like maybe your boss telling you things that are maybe not so correct, and you would really like to say, well, F you, and I'm going away on that shitty job. But you say, hey, okay, I'm going to do the job because you don't want to lose your job. Easy example. And a lot of us are trapped into functional freeze. So freeze is a state, I'm really interested into that state as well, because this is a state we can stay into for a very long time. It's not comfortable, it's not healthy, but we can function while being in this freeze response. And that's causing us a lot of problem. I'm totally 100% agree on that.
Yeah, a lot of mental, very negative mental talk. I should have said that. I'm not doing the right thing. What am I going to do? It's not right. It's not fair. All these things where you're just like, but you're not doing anything.
Yeah, that's a problem.
Yeah,
animals can release it like this because they are acting and they're just shaking it out, but.
That's why movement is changing our physiology. I mean, if you feel bad, try dancing, try jumping up and down. Try to do that because it will stimulate your body from the kind of the outside, but not really, because you have a mental talk. You're saying, okay, now, maybe I'm gonna come out of this. I'm gonna go dancing. Okay, I'm gonna go dancing, and then you're kind of taking yourself dancing, or you're just putting a song, just dance to it. And even if it just slowly brings you into movement, you're kind of telling your body, hey, you're not frozen. Everything is good. You're doing something, you're moving, you're feeling a bit free. And so, yeah, that's one way of a little bit. That's why people love dancing, by the way, because it's kind of a very, very easy way to release some great chemicals in our brain.
Yeah. And I think one thing, I'm coming back to one thing I was saying, like people realize what state they are in by comparison. And when you're stuck in this freeze, it becomes your norm and you don't even realize you're in that state. Mm-hmm. So anything that can take you out now will be a kind of set point to tell you, hey, now you see that this is your norm, but actually there is another way. You can be somewhere else. And that's when we begin maybe to see it coming and not to take it as, oh, it's just like this, I have to cope with this. A lot of people are actually stuck into, it's like this. And they don't even believe anymore that there is another possibility, actually.
It's true. So you're saying that events or musical meditations and things like that can make the comparison. So like people can feel what it is to be in a different state of mind that is more relaxed, and then they're kind of saying, wow, nice discovery. I should get more of this.
Yeah.
And slowly they just become more relaxed.
Yeah, or at least they can recognize. Because I think, for example, the other night, so when you did the event, it was at night after their job or whatever their day was done. I don't think many people would have answered, oh, yes, I'm stressed, if we had asked the question. They were chatting, with friends, relaxed. Now, if we had asked the question after the concert, then they would have said, oh, yeah, I'm much more relaxed.
That's true. That's very interesting.
Then they would have realized, that's what I'm saying, that then they would have realized, okay, before I actually didn't recognize it as a stressed state, but actually maybe it is. Maybe I can be under this level of activation on a daily basis. And because they are always at that level, they consider it as the norm, but actually it doesn't have to be. There is another way. But unless you can come out of this, you don't recognize it. No, it's the story of the fish and the water. You don't, for fish, water is just what's around me.
It's true. And according to some statistics I'm aware of, most of the world is living exactly that way. There are fish in stress water, and they don't even know that there's air to take in. So I guess that my vision in life, by creating the Bajin, and not just the Bajin, because it's like kind of a first step into a world of making more instruments like these more available to people, to reduce stress in a musical way. I feel that if there would be more moments like these, for example, like the moment we had in Lisbon, and I always feel, do you feel better now after the session? Like, do you feel better than before? And like, it's always the same answer. Of course, everybody's feeling better, and there's kind of a nice sigh of breath, kind of a smile on people's faces. So my vision is to see more of these things happen at the same time in hectic places around the world, cities, metropolis, big places with lots of people, that they can create this in their home, in their community, with their family, doing meditative concerts without any knowledge or music. They don't need to go to learn music theory. They just need to go in a room and just be quiet and listen to the sounds of Bajin or different meditative instrument. It doesn't really matter how you do it, but some ways are more effective than others. Some instruments are easier to play. And if more people do that, imagine what the world would look like. The before and after on a global level.
Yeah, well, that's a beautiful vision. Totally. So this will be, I mean, it's not the first. You were already creating handpan and didgeridoo, but this is a new, it's one of its kind. It's a totally new instrument, actually.
Yeah, it's a combination of ideas, taking the tubes, tonal tubes from wind chimes and other instruments where you hang them on the specific calculated points, and just putting them in an appropriate cavity, like an acoustic chamber, and making it sustainable. So it's from bamboo, and it is patent pending. There is specific features that we decided to register on, including the entire instrument, just because we got lots of advices to do so from kind of legal prevention, legal problems prevention. Okay, so we are. I mean, so nobody can sue us, for example. Because I mean, like if somebody just anyway. So we are. It's a new invention. So to answer your short question, it's a new invention, but it's a combination of ideas. So I mean, it's not like the light bulb, It's not.
Yeah. Well, I believe every creation is kind of a copy and making your own and creating something new out of many inspirations.
Yeah, definitely exciting, because for me it really resolves a lot of issues I had with instruments. Carrying them around, choosing specific scales. Now I feel like I have a lot of freedom. I don't have to carry like 10 Tibetan bowls, or I don't have to carry just one instrument with one scale or two instruments with two scales. I can take one instrument and have almost any note I want, basically.
Yeah. What I really love in that is, well, the sound is just great, but the fact that you don't need any musical education. You just need to dare to tap on it, and that's it. There's sound, and it will be the perfect sound for you because you made it. So I really love this idea of empowering people to just create music and not making such a big deal, like you have to be an artist to sing or to dance or to play music.
Yeah, that's the thing with the world of the professions. People have become professional in specific fields, and if you're not a professional, then it's hard to make a living. It's hard to feel like you are worth something. It's hard to share your music or to share your skills with the world because you don't feel like somebody gave you a stamp. This guy, this girl, they're okay. They're qualified. And I definitely understand why this happened. I mean, we were in an age where everyone, could say that they did this and this, but then they will come and treat you, or they play for you, and you get something from them that is unprofessional. So I do understand that there is a need for regulation. But in a field like music, you just hear and you feel. If that music is something that is right for you, then you just go for it. And if it's not, then you're not going to go for it. And the field of music is also, it has lots of hobbyists. People just play music for the fun of it. So maybe they take a few lessons in guitar, or maybe they take even a lesson every week, but they're not professional. And now we bring instruments to the world where you don't need to know anything, and you will always be making pleasant sounds because you can't really go wrong if you choose the harmonic scale. So, you don't need to know anything really about music. You just need to feel it and make pleasing sounds. That's your profession, to make pleasing sounds. Pretty easy.
Yeah, I love this vision too.
I mean, freedom, I guess, is something that most people would like more of, right? So, I mean, not everything needs to be so regulated. Not everything needs to be so, I need a qualification, I need a certification. Oh, I'm not good enough. I never studied music, and all that. You hear that because it's for years, the education systems have been telling us what is right and what is wrong. And come on. For 2018. It's 2018.
Yeah, I totally agree. I love your vision of, well, playing is about making enjoyable sounds. So just go and try this.
Yeah, and you can always tell yourself or tell other people, hey, I don't like this sound. Go away, or ask someone to stop. I mean, all good.
Yeah, I loved what you said earlier about some people are like some sounds and some just don't, and it's not always because of the nature of the sound, but it's how it resonates with you. And so actually I was curious about, we touched a little bit on this, what makes these instruments like the handpan, the didgeridoo, the Bajin now, what makes them different? And you were talking about Overtone, but that's just one thing. I guess there is other ways. Why do they have this effect on people, do you think?
I would say that is something that I would like to get scientific proof of, first of all. So I would like to establish some kind of scientific not agenda, but kind of conclusions regarding this, because I feel that there is much to learn about the specific effects of these instruments.
Yeah.
But I have my own theories. So everything I'm saying here is going to be tested. It's going to be investigated and researched, because that is also something that I feel it's connected to a vision that we have in the company and my own personal vision. I believe that science is many times very right, and medicine is not in many cases. So I mean, you can take quantum physics, for example, and you can take the medical world where they just prescribe, general pills for you to get over like 20, 30, 50 different symptoms. Yeah, just take this pill and it's supposed to get you feeling better. So I feel like science has more curiosity, and scientists will get answers. But I can tell you that from what I know and from what I've learned over the years and what I've felt over the years, is that the handpan, the pantan, the instruments that I'm very privileged to be one of the makers in the world. There's approximately 150 people in the world making them in different stages. Some are beginners, some are more time in the field, longer time in the field, and the Bajin, they're both not exactly the same. I said that first. Let's touch on the handpan, okay? Because it has been here for nearly 20 years. Okay, it's a spectral instrument, and not like different instruments or other instruments like different percussion, different like guitar, string instruments. You have many different ways of holding it and hitting it. So you don't have a fixed position. You just need to put it on your lap, and lately it has more of a more common to see people play on stands and standing up, so they can actually walk around it while it's on a high stand. So you have many possibilities, and you can use your right hand and your left hand in the same way, so it's kind of symmetrical. Okay, so you can do cross hits. So you can go from right hand to left hand, and you're crossing your eyesight from one side to the other. So you're doing all kinds of movements that are very good for your brain. They are kind of balancing the right and the left hemisphere, which is a stress reducer. Okay, because you're opening the channels between both. You're expanding the channels, the paths between those hemispheres, and you work on your coordination, and you are kind of creating a circle of working in a circle. So you have a spherical instrument that has like a spectrum, and you can change the position of the notes as well. So you're very free in the way you're holding it and playing it. And you have a circle in front of your eyes, which is a very good shape to have anyway. And you're creating kind of that's also for any kind of music, you're playing and listening, and eventually your body realizes that you're creating and listening at the same time. So you're having all of these, and of course you have in the handpan you have one scale, which means it's really harmonic, and you can't really go wrong. So you can be very intuitive. So it works on your intuition and your feeling regarding to playing music, creating music on the moment. So it's pretty good for composition in a more of a astral plane, more of a freer space, because you just go for it, and you're not thinking about this is right or this is wrong. You're just going for it, and you're playing on something that has been tuned in a mathematical formula that is very harmonic. Each note has 3 different partials tuned into it. So that means that you have a very harmonic result. So that's very good for the body. All of what I've said now is very good for the body, and I would say that it's a stress reducer. And I found that many people in the world they practice different methods, and the ones that are really connected to stress reducing, you will find these instruments there. And it's very natural, and it's a new instrument. And it's funny because when they started producing them, when they invented the instrument in the year 2000, it was mostly designed and marketed for percussion players and musicians. And slowly, it became more of a healing sound. And now it's gradually going back into the musician, because people now are acquiring techniques.
Oh, okay, yes.
Okay, so it became kind of a hippie instrument in festivals, and they have different hippie kind of, if you want to say hippie, but I'm just stereotyping. I'm just saying that you get the picture.
Yes.
You sleep outdoors in tents, and you do like small intimate concerts, and everybody's kind of just like, chilling out, listening to the sounds. That's the idea. Okay, so it's kind of, and I wouldn't call it spiritual, because people can do all kinds of things there that will not be considered spiritual. But the idea of gathering around a specific, very harmonic instrument, just listening to it, being so open to it, that's a phenomenon. That's like, anyway.
So there's a few interesting things in what you're saying. Actually, I was thinking about more the listeners, but you were talking about a lot about the player. And do you think the fact that while playing this instrument, it brings you in such a state? So do you think it correlates to then you are kind of transmitting also that state to the people who are listening?
Exactly. That's what's happening. And the Bajin is structured in a way that you don't play from right to left like a piano, or actually from left to right like a piano. You play it like a kalimba is. So you have is played. So you have like in the center, then you go left, right, left, right, left, right, left, right, until you get the scale. So you still have that effect on the brain of
the crossing.
That crossing, and that is why. And the Bajin also has a length of sound that it could go almost a minute.
That was crazy. That was really a crazy thing to hear. And what you were doing you were doing an effect, and it sounded like, literally, it sounded like a wave of sound. Like you were moving the Bajin up and down with the sound. That was completely crazy to experience.
Thank you. Something is happening with this instrument. I'm discovering it. Like, it's funny because now when I show people the Bajin, I see that slowly with time, I would know this instrument, the finalized version of it, not just the idea that came up to my head like 3 years ago, but just the finished version of it where I can say, wow, okay, so this is it, right? I don't know it much longer than you. There is eventually, if you look in a year, we can both say, yeah, we know the instrument about a year. Maybe I will have a few months, and of course I developed it and everything, but it's a new instrument for me. Maybe I have background, but I have no idea how people are going to use it, and people are going to get it all over the world, and they're going to show me what's happening. they're gonna tell me, okay, now look what I'm doing. Like, you didn't think of this, and I would be like, of course, that's why I'm sharing it with the world, so you can tell me what can be possible with this. And they might move it in different ways that I'm not aware of. But the particularly interesting thing about the Bajin is that most people say that they can really feel physically feel the sound as if it's kind of like touching them, it's really there, present in the moment, and
Yes.
That's something you don't get from many instruments. You don't get that from any instrument, and I feel that because it has kind of I call it minimum effort, maximum result. Okay, you just touch it and it just goes. You touch it and it goes.
I love this minimum, but minimum action, maximum effect.
Minimum,
Yes.
yeah, minimum effort, maximum effect. That's
this. I love this, and it's so true. So I love the creative aspects of it, and I love your vision of, okay, this is what I created. Now go on and create your way of playing this, and your willingness to learn from the people who are going to play that. I really love your openness of mind in that play, and the giving and receiving this thing. This is so creative.
I think it's,
yeah, sorry.
I'm just saying I find it really important to always feel like a beginner. Always feel like you have always something to learn, and even if you invented something, so to speak, or you created something, the world is going to tell you what you invented or what you developed. You're not going to tell the world this is it. There are too many people in the world for me to tell them what I think should be done. So, and there are so many people in the world that I can learn from. So, I mean, that's it.
Yeah, beautiful. And what did I had in mind? You were sharing about. It says, oh yes, the physical effect. I really want to emphasize that because this something I felt in my experience in sometimes, sound bath with gongs and Tibetan bowls and so on. But on this event in Lisbon, I really could feel that. And when I was talking about the waves that you were doing with moving the Bajin, at that moment I was talking about, okay, this is a sound wave. I could hear it with my ears, but I could really feel it on my body. And this was coming only from this tiny, tiny or not, but this small instrument literally sending sound waves into the room. And I remember you asked the question, and almost everyone answered yes. I felt this on my body physically. It's not only I heard the sound.
Yeah, that is something that really interesting to me, and I want to explore that on a scientific level as much as possible in the next few years, just to really understand what's going on there.
Yeah.
Because you said we feel it, and we all felt it, and I know that more people felt it, and I'm feeling it. But what exactly are we?
Yeah.
I mean, I'm sure that science can help. I'm not sure they can get all the answers. But what I feel is that the Bajin has qualities, and that's something that I didn't do it by design, but I did find it out over the path, during the path of constructing it and designing it, that the specific measurements of the Bajin are corresponding with our body in ways that I just discovered on the go. I was like,
wow, interesting.
And that's my assumption. I feel like it's kind of very resonating with our ears in the range that we are listening to, or that we can actually hear, because we have a range of frequencies we can hear.
Yes.
And first of all, so that's one thing. It's really just dead on. And I have to tell you something very, very moving. 2 days ago, we got a message from somebody who is 80% deaf. And they saw the video on Facebook, and they said, I can hear this.
Wow.
And I want this instrument. And I was like, wow, that's amazing. And I'm thinking, but more people that have different disabilities with hearing. And not to say people with any kind of disabilities, they could play this because it's so easy, because you can hear it, because you can hear it so easily. And I believe that the specific size we chose for this for the tube is corresponding with the size of our specific organs. I can't really tell you if it's the bones or if it's the blood vessels, or I don't know, because it's new to me.
Yeah.
But I feel that there must be something there. I mean, for example, when I make a handpan, the chamber of the handpan, it's made from two shells. Okay, so it's like a spaceship. And that spaceship, that cavity, that kind of chamber has one hole on the bottom. And that thing as itself has a tone. It has a specific resonation that creates a specific tone. Now, if the scale of the handpan, the scale itself, the notes, will correspond to it, will be aligned with that, you will get an amplification, you will get an effect. And if you don't do that, you will also get an effect that is kind of like you cut sound off and you get more clarity. So you can really play with that. And so I feel we are also a chamber of, I wouldn't say chamber because we're not hollow, but we definitely have hollow parts. We definitely have parts with air. And I also think that it might be connected to our sinuses, because here we also have in our forehead and beneath, under our cheeks, we have like some kind of chambers. And of course, between the ears to the mouth, you have a chamber of air as well. So overall, I think there must be something there, but it's yet to be discovered.
Yeah.
Be investigated.
From my experience, the system in our bodies that reacts the most to vibrations and sound vibrations are bones, and they can react in very big. It can actually even be overwhelming. I had this experience when I was experiencing with colleagues, and we were playing with how do you call this, diapason, tuning forks.
Oh yeah.
So we were playing tuning forks and applying it on bones, and the vibration, first they go, but then there is a kind of rebound and they come back. So there is these waves going and then coming back. And so at first you feel only the way in, and you're like, yeah, no, go on. And then I know at some point I was kind of overwhelmed, because now the waves were in me and they were traveling back and forth and going around and rebounding. And so all of a sudden I was feeling all these waves inside of me, but it was kind of too late. I mean, the moment I said, oh guys, I think that's enough for now, I had already all this kind of storm going on in me.
Wow.
In a really nice way, but a bit overwhelming. This was really interesting.
Interesting. Yeah, it just, I guess that anyway we are creating this kind of energy of feedback. We get stimulation from, anything, from people, from reactions, from the weather, from the sunlight, from just living. And I think the music kind of shows us how much we are this vibrant being that has so much energy that can be transmitted and is transmitted, not even can be, that is transmitted, and it can be transmitted differently.
Yeah. And your story about this, it's beautiful. This guy who told you, yeah, I cannot hear, but your instrument, I could hear it.
Yeah, and in the 20% he can hear the Bajin. Amazing.
And it reminds me of, I don't remember her name now, but there is a marimba player. So marimba are kind of percussions, and she's deaf from her childhood, but she could learn music. And I mean, she really studied music. She went to music school and everything. And at first, teacher said, well, you know, you're deaf, so goodbye. And she said, no, I can study it just a bit differently. And she studied it with her body. So not hearing the sound, but feeling the waves on her body and playing like this. It's incredible. She did a TED Talk. I would put it in the page because it really makes me think about what you just shared. And in that sense, I guess the Bajin is the perfect instrument to do this because of what we were saying. Like people all say, yes, we could feel the vibrations on our body. So bringing music to more people. I really like this, actually.
Yeah. I'm so curious about where this is going to go, and if people like that marimba player are going to be, you know, having perhaps a better life or another experience that they couldn't have before due to this instrument. And this 80% deaf person will also have a different musical experience. So it's pretty cool. I'm like, what's gonna happen? You know, it's in the future.
Yeah. Well, I think at that point, everyone's is like, okay, now stop talking and we want to hear it.
Okay, let's do it. Actually,
maybe we can have a little bit of...
You're so right. So let's see. All right. Okay.
So guys, if you're listening to this on the podcast, you can jump on the YouTube channel and see actually what the instrument is like.
How could you hear it? Good?
Thank you. Well, I could hear it, but because I already heard it in vivo, in acoustic. Guys, this is so much better without, without a head speaker. And yeah, it's so much better when you actually hear it directly from the instruments.
Yeah, you can. You probably add the link, right? So people could see a video of it. It's on YouTube now, and it's on Facebook as well. So, yeah.
Well, actually, yes. Where can listeners find you and know more a little bit about?
Well, you can go to first of all, you can go to bajin.com. So it's BAJINN. And you can go to just look for Bajin on Facebook. And when you're listening to this podcast, if it's still October when you listen to it, then we will be live until the end of November 18 in the Indiegogo campaign, where you can pre-order the Bajin for like 40% off because we're just getting a start. So we're really opening all of our options for people, you know. Come and get it.
Yeah, and it's also something I appreciated when you presented it. It's one of the things you had in mind while doing it is you wanted this to be accessible. So accessible to play, but also affordable for a bit everyone. Because handpan, for example, can be really expensive depending on the label and so. But for Bajin, I really appreciated this idea of yours of, hey, let's do something affordable for everyone. It's a big thing.
Thank you. Yeah, it's important.
Yeah. Well, do you have anything we didn't say and like you don't want to end this interview without anything more to add?
I would just want to add that if I can give anything to people who are listening to this podcast, one last thing is that we are strong beings. We have a lot of capabilities, and we just need to make the right choices in what we bring into our lives and how we treat our body. And it doesn't mean that you can be. You just need to be on water and raw vegan and whatever and nutrition wise.
Yes.
But music makes a difference. Meditation makes a difference, and love is something that we can all share more if we know how to access it. So good luck, everyone, in making your life integrally alive.
Yeah, well, actually, there is the ritual last question I ask is always, what makes you feel alive?
Wow. I have to tell you that I try to do that every moment. Because I think that any moment that I don't feel alive is a wasted moment. So I mean, it's like, what am I doing if I'm not feeling alive? Like, what am I doing? Am I dying? I'm not. I mean, of course. So I would say that that's my answer. And there are, of course, ups and downs, and sometimes you even feel more alive in the downs than the ups, because you really feel that life is, you're experiencing life. Like emotional and like stuff like that. But yeah, we are alive. just be aware of it, and you're alive.
Yeah. Totally. Wow. Well, thank you for being with us today and sharing all this wisdom and these sounds of these new instruments. I'm really excited for your launch and to see how it's going to grow and what is going to become in the world.
Thank you so much, Claire, for inviting me. And we're going to do this.
Yeah, and thanks everyone for listening. If you like what you hear, leave a comment on the blog, subscribe to the podcast. And till next time, keep sparking life and being truly alive. Bye.